Hello, this is Kristen Brinley with DC Metro Real Producers. Welcome to our podcast. Hello, DC Metro Real Producers. This is Kristen Brinley, your publisher, and I'm here with the wonderful Scott Story. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. He is a partner with DC Metro Real Producers, and we just had his spotlight. And Scott has a unique story. He's actually been with First Home Mortgage the entire time for his career. And he's like right under 9 years in the business. And Scott, we can't wait to hear your story. And so how much volume did you do last year? And what does this year look like?
So did a little over 50 million last year. This year we're trending for a little bit more than what we did last year, which is great because it's more of a challenging market. So the fact that we're growing is awesome, and then hopefully next year is already trending up.
Absolutely. Well, and your story is unique in a bunch of different ways, but being at First Home the entire time, why have you chose to stay in one spot the whole time?
Sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, loyalty. One the company is great, right? We're not too big, we're not too small, we're kind of like the right size. So we have a lot of flexibility and efficiencies that many companies out there that don't have, and the people are just phenomenal. So everybody in corporate wants to see the originators do well and really support us and give us everything we need to be successful. And then lastly, honestly, they're the only company that was hiring, a brand new person in 2009 when the mortgage world was kind of in upheaval. So you have to respect that and appreciate that, because we take the approach of we want to hire new people and train them to do business the right way, and we support that.
So did you grow up thinking you'd be a lender? Tell us your story. How did you end up being a loan officer?
Sure. Always thought I was going to go to law school from the time I was very, very small. Go to college, and that's kind of the path that I follow, and I anticipated that's what was going to happen. Went to one semester of law school, realized it wasn't for me. One, it was really, really hard. But two, it was different than what I was expecting. It wasn't as interactive and whatnot. And I remember sitting in the library one day, and at 3 I was like, man, I hate my life. And if you're not loving it now, do what I didn't do and get out before you spend a lot of money on something that you don't really love. And at that time, my sister was in the mortgage business, and she seemed to be doing really well and was happy and could set her own schedule, and she was growing. And ultimately she introduced me to my now manager and president of First Home Mortgage.
Fantastic. So that's how I would feel about, if my brother was doing something, I'd be like, I think I can do that. And I'm pretty sure he does the same thing. So Scott, you are a manager of sorts. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So started becoming a manager 2-3 years ago. I'm a sales manager for DC, Rockville, and Chevy Chase Group. So we're First Home Mortgage's biggest branch by closed volume, and probably by the number of originators. We have over 20. So collectively, several of us manage the 3 locations, and our primary job is to, one, make sure the client experience is great, but 2, is to help our younger loan officers continue to evolve and grow in their career.
So, you have gone up the ranks quite a bit in just a 9-year time frame. So can you tell us the progression a little bit? So you started out, you got a few loans. Can you tell us step by step how that went to get to
Sure.
over 50 million? And yeah.
Sure. Starting off early in your career, it's really easy to get on what we call the rookie roller coaster, and that's babysitting the first few deals, and then you're not out there growing your business. So ultimately the deals stop coming in, and you go back out, get them, and stop doing it again. So it's just been it's all been about trusting the process and the people behind us. We've done a really good job of creating an environment where we're surrounded by wonderful people, and it's just trusting that. And once you learn to do that, you become way more efficient, and allows you to really focus on your business and grow your referral foundation and take care of your clients all at the same time. So the first couple of years were tough, as any sales profession is. But once you grow that foundation and you do right by your clients and do a great job, everything just kind of flows from there.
So it makes me think of the Entrepreneurial roller coaster by Darren Hardy, who did Success Magazine, and a lot of realtors, they talk about that too. Like especially until you get all the different systems and processes
Absolutely.
and everything in place. Like I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Absolutely.
So can you tell us a little bit more about, like, you work with a nice amount of like real producers, and tell us about like the composition of your business now. Is it like a lot of marketing? Is it a lot of like referral based? Like, how does that work for you now?
The majority of my business is referral based, and probably will always be referral based. With that being said, you also have to have the marketing aspect of it as well, to kind of go along with the referral business, because you need to brand yourself. You need to be visible. But that will always be a supplement to what we've always done, which is just provide the best customer service, knowledgeable and honest. Honesty is always the number one thing that anybody's looking for, even when it's not the answer that they want to hear. And that's the foundation of our business has always been able to provide that.
Well, I appreciate your character, and I appreciate you being part of Real Producers. So,
well, thank you.
Absolutely. So a lot of people attribute their success to like some kind of secret weapon or habit or someone that they've worked with, a mentor. For you, like, what do you think a main ingredient for your success to this point has been?
I know it's cliché, but we always put the clients first, and we always put our referral partners first, and it's not something that we've ever taken for granted. And we know that ultimately, if we don't do right by our partners and our clients, everything we've worked hard for goes away. So number one is it's always service, and it's providing the best possible service we can. And part of that is being accessible when others aren't. It's answering the tough questions, and more importantly, it's just being there as an honest resource and somebody that they know that they can trust.
So Scott, can you tell us, like, in your spotlight, there was a really great quote. Can you tell us that quote? I can't remember it, but I know it was amazing.
Sure.
But, yeah.
It's something that's hanging in my office, but don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. And it's just something to remind myself and to remind our younger loan officers, always look forward, don't ever look backwards. Because what happened yesterday doesn't help tomorrow. And it's just something to keep you humble and motivated to continue to grow your business. And it's something that I've sworn by my entire career. So don't get caught up in the now. And continue to focus on what your overall visions and plans are.
That's fantastic. I love that quote. So I had to make sure that you all got to hear that one. If you were to take a snapshot of what like the next 1 to 5 years looks like, what would that look like? Like, what kind of plan do you have right now?
Sure.
Yeah.
We're in super growth mode, so we're really trying to double our business over the course of the next 5 years, which I think is really attainable. But the foundation of that is going to be continue to operate the business the way that we're operating now. So not to compromise values to get the business. It's continuing to do everything that we're currently doing, just reaching out to additional people and kind of making those connections and having those meetings.
So Scott, can you tell us about like your schedule? So what does a day-to-day schedule look like for you?
Yeah, every day is different. Mondays are typically a really busy day. You're catching up from the pre-approvals you did over the weekend, the contracts that have come in, talking to clients, locking them into rates, disclosing the applications, ordering the appraisals. So Monday is generally a day full of new clients, new loans, and getting everything out and organized so we can make sure we're hitting our timelines. And then every other day, it's in the morning I wake up and the very first thing I do is respond to emails probably for about an hour. A client sending documentation, reviewing the documentation, making sure everything is as we discussed. And then once I'm caught up, then the day really starts. So it could be meeting with referral sources and getting to know people better. It could be manager meetings. It could be any one of different things. But Mondays are generally all new business, all clients. And then the rest of the week is more structured in terms of having meetings and having having the day more planned out.
Well, I know you're a busy guy, so thanks for having us here today. Do you have any advice for our real producers out there? So in working with loan officers, with these producers, that these guys are all doing like 13 million and more in business, Sure. Like what kind of advice do you have for them when in working with people in your industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think something that we don't take for granted is there's thousands of loan officers in the greater DC metro area. And what I always say is I'm going to be very accessible. And I think it's really important to partner with somebody that shares the same values that you do, and that is going to be give your clients an honest assessment of where everything stands. But not only honest, but correct, right? So you want to work with somebody that's going to directly reflect great on you. Your clients are going to walk away happy, and that 100% of the time they're going to give an honest assessment of where everything currently is. Whether the client likes to hear that or doesn't like to hear it, that's going to reflect well on you, and that they're taking care of your clients.
That's good advice. So Scott, how is technology in the mortgage industry, how is it shaping and leading where things are going? How is technology affecting it?
Sure. Technology is obviously it's a hot button in our industry right now. You turn on the TV at any given time, you can see push button get mortgage, and the reality of the situation is it's not quite that simple. But at the same time, technology is it's improving the customer interface. So I think it's kind of a twofold question. One, you need to utilize technology to interact with the customer, have the ability to have the digital experience to where they can provide less documentation, but providing certain information and make it more streamlined from that perspective. But you're never going to get to a point, in my opinion, where it's push button get mortgage, because we're there to be a professional and to guide people and show them various different options and why structuring it one way might be different than another way. And the reality is you can't do that in 8 minutes. You can't examine the entire situation for every individual in 8 minutes. So while technology is useful to create efficiencies and to create a better customer interface and experience, it's never going to take away the professional component in terms of how you structure loans and best guide consumers.
Well said. So what are you currently learning right now, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me is the evolution of my career from not only originating, and I think we do a really good job at that, and interacting with our clients. It's also managing. So it's learning that every one of our younger loan officers internalizes things differently, or understands things differently, or and you got to talk to them different ways and explain things in a certain manner to each one of them. So it's really learning how to manage every different personality and making sure that we're getting the best out of them and helping them achieve their goals.
So you're focused on leadership and on managing your people well.
Exactly. I mean, it's all about giving back. I've had some really great mentors in my career, and while I'm still focused on my business, I understand the importance of being that person for the younger loan officers that are earlier in their career. I had them, and it's important to do the same.
So Scott, what is the greatest lesson that you've learned?
So it's crazy, but it's going back to just as I was entering my career as a mortgage loan officer. One of my mom's good friends is a real estate agent down in Holden Beach, North Carolina, and I remember when my mom told her that I was following my sister and getting into the business, she told me, she goes, the one piece of advice that I would tell you and to carry with you throughout your entire career, always make the tough call before you go home, right? Just because the tough call is not always what somebody wants to hear, but if they're not ready to buy right now or whatever the situation may be, always make that call before you go home and have that conversation. That way you start the next day in a more positive frame of mind. You don't have anything weighing on you.
That's fantastic. That's a great lesson. How do you want to be remembered, Scott?
I want to be remembered as someone that is willing to help others, and invest just as much time in other people as they're investing in themselves, right? Always giving an honest and thoughtful answer to clients, guiding them in a professional way, always doing right by others. If I can look back in 30 years and I've been able to impact a number of loan officers and referral partners and clients, and they all have positive things to say about me, then I think that would be a great career.
So Scott, why did you choose to work with DC Metro Real Producers?
Sure. I think in any profession that you're in, you always want to be surrounded by the best, right? And the Real Producer magazine is the best of the best in DC, and you want to surround yourself with greatness, because in order to achieve greatness, it's all who you surround yourself with. So I make it a point, not only in our office, but in the mortgage world. I always try to surround myself with people that are better than me, because it'll help me become better.
Your sphere is so important. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
So how has failure shaped your life, and how did you turn that around?
Sure. I remember this day like it was yesterday. I was probably about a year and a half going on 2 years in the mortgage business, and I hadn't seen the success as quickly as I wanted to see it. And I remember walking into my manager's office and just be like, you know what, I've done everything I possibly can do. I'm working 12 hours a day, working every single day of the week, and it's just not happening for me, right? I think this job might not be right. And I remember Tim looking at me. He said, "Look, you're doing everything that's right. Don't worry about it. It'll come." And then the next month is the first month I originated like $2.5 million that month, and the following month it was more. And I look back to that day, and it taught me to deal with adversity, because anything worth having is not exactly easy to come by. So it's pushing through that adversity and dealing with that has allowed me to get to where I am.
You've heard it from DC Metro Real Producers.